Greetings, colleagues. My name is Steven Mudhuviwa. I'm a WASH specialist with the UNICEF East and Southern Africa Regional Office. I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya. My presentation will focus on the 21 countries that represent UNICEF's East and Southern Africa region. Of the 21 countries, 7 are in a fragile and conflict-affected situation. 4 are conflict affected, that's Ethiopia, Mozambique, Somalia, and South Sudan, and 3 exhibit institutional and social fragility, that's Burundi, Comoros, and Zimbabwe. From year 2000 to year 2020, the East and Southern Africa region has seen a dramatic population growth from about 300 million people to about 550 million people. Urban population has also doubled from about 90 million people to close to 200 million people. There has been a big increase in number of people meeting basic access to water. However, the number lacking basic remains around 200 million, with most of these people being in rural areas. We also see that in the urban areas, most of those with at least basic are also safely managed. However, in the rural areas, only a small fraction have safely managed services. 6 out of the 21 countries have national estimates for safely managed drinking water. That's Rwanda, Ethiopia, Uganda, Lesotho, Madagascar, and Zimbabwe. Of the countries in a fragile or conflict affected situation, only Zimbabwe and Ethiopia have estimates for safely managed water supply, whilst 3 other countries in a fragile conflict affected situation have estimates for basic water supply services, which 3 countries include South Sudan, Somalia, and Madagascar. Of the data sources for national monitoring of drinking water in East and Southern Africa, we see that most countries for their data sources are household surveys and census surveys. And there are 2 countries, that's Eritrea and Lesotho, have no nationally validated data sources for SDG monitoring, though these countries are not classified as being in a fragile or conflict affected situation. Most countries regularly report on basic service level, plus some aspect on safely managed water services, typically if it's available on site. No country has monitoring data for access to water services, which fully aligns with the JMP indicators for safely managed services. The biggest limiting factor is the absence of routine monitoring data on water quality. This chart shows the number of WASH areas for which routine data is available alongside the average rating for the enabling environment and strength of the monitoring systems. What we are seeing is that a strong enabling environment does not necessarily mean that there are strong monitoring systems. For example, Ethiopia scores very good on all the factors for the enabling environment. However, we see that in terms of the strength of the monitoring system, there's some issues that need to be addressed in terms of data accessibility and use. South Sudan, generally, the enabling environment is poor. However, the strength of the monitoring systems from the review appears that it's good. There is at least the data that's available is being used to inform investments and decision making. Zimbabwe has a strong enabling environment, and also the strength of their monitoring systems is good. The SR region, uh, needs to invest 15 billion annually till 2030 to meet the SDG goals. And in so doing, I think there is need to access innovative financing from all actors, both commercial and government finance, as well as any form of blended finance. Challenges that are within the SR region include there are no costed wash plans and targets, which can inform on the investments decision making process. Systems to monitor, track and account for expenditures are not very strong. There are limited options to access development finance or commercial finance. And the monitoring systems need to fully align with the JMP indicators so as to build a strong case for targeted investments. Way forward, I think this is not exhaustive but represents some of the main ideas that can come through, and I hope the discussion will also focus on the same. For governments, I think there's need to look at a system strengthening approach, strengthening also the enabling environment, looking at developing MI systems that fully align to the JMP. There is need to ensure that wash plans are costed and have the smart targets. There is need to look at options to improve wash sector financing and also look at resource mobilization through sector strengthening, as well as looking at tax exemptions for the waste sector. There is need also to look at options to facilitate access to commercial finance as well as government finance. And for CSOs, I think the focus should be more on advocacy, analytical work, with the system strengthening focus. There is need to also to monitor, track, and look at accountabilities for expenditures in alignment with the policy pronouncements. There's also need to look at concept proofing service delivery models. That's my brief presentations, and I would like to thank you. And hopefully we'll have an engaging discussions once the once it's open for discussions. Thank you.